Imagine a living bacterium, one of the trillions in your gut, slipping through a crack in your gut wall and climbing hand over hand up a nerve all the way into your brain. It sounds like science fiction, but in a study published in 2026, that is close to exactly what researchers watched happen. Not bacteria floating in the blood, not a vague chemical signal drifting upward. Whole living bacteria leaving a leaky gut and traveling up one specific nerve into the brain. The name of that nerve is the vagus, and it turns out to be a literal back door. If you've ever felt like your gut and your head are somehow wired together, like a bad gut week shows up as brain fog and low mood, you're not imagining it. There's a wire, and here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. In midlife, as your estrogen drops and the stress of the last 20 years piles up, the gut wall that's supposed to keep that door shut gets leakier right when you most need it sealed. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Gala Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? On this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom-free. Now, before we walk through this back door together, I have a free resource that will help you start lowering your stress load right away, because your stress and your vagus nerve are deeply connected, as you're about to see. Just comment the word guide below or go to drgala.com/links and I'll send it right over. You can also scan the QR code on the screen. Now, let's start with the wire itself, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve of the parasympathetic system. It wanders from your brainstem all the way down to your gut, which is exactly why it's named vagus, the same root as vagabond, the wanderer. We usually picture the brain barking orders down to the body, but the vagus carries most of its traffic the other way, from the gut up to the brain. So your gut is doing most of the talking. And we just learned it may be sending more than messages, right? Now, I want to show you the single piece of research that ties all this together, and I want to put it on the screen for you. It's a study published in the journal PLOS Biology in 2026. It's titled Translocation of Bacteria from the Gut to the Brain in Mice, and it was done at Emory University. Here's what the researchers did and why it matters. They intentionally triggered gut inflammation in the mice. That did two things. It shifted the mix of bacteria in the gut, and it made the gut bacteria leaky. Then they went looking for those gut bacteria in the body. In essence, they wanted to see what happens to that bacteria that gets out of the leaky gut. And here's the finding that should stop you. They didn't find the bacteria in the blood like they imagined they would. They didn't find them in the other organs. They found them on the vagus nerve and in the brain. The bacteria had not floated through the bloodstream. They had traveled up that nerve. So the team did something clever to prove the nerve was really the route. They cut one side of the vagus nerve, and when they did, far fewer bacteria made it to the brain. Cut the wire and the traffic drops. That's how you know the vagus is the conduit, the literal back door. Then they went one step further. They tagged a bacterium, a bar-coded strain with a piece of DNA not normally found in nature, and fed it to the mice. Later, that exact bar-coded strain showed up in the gut and then in the brain. There was no question where it came from. It came from the gut, and it used the door we've been talking about. And here's the part I want you to hold on to, because it's the hope in this odd story. When the researchers eased that gut inflammation that they had stimulated and let the barrier heal, the bacteria in the brain dropped. The door closed. As one of the scientists put it, the gut is the leaky pipe, and your brain is the house that floods. You don't bail the water bucket by bucket when your house is flooding. You fix the pipe. We're going to link that paper under the videos so you can read it for yourself. And there's a layer to this that often gets missed. Your gut may already be trying to repair, but stress, inflammation, and shifting hormones can keep that repair from happening. If you're in perimenopause or menopause and you've tried probiotics, food changes, bone broth, or clean eating, but the bloating, fatigue, and brain fog keep coming back, I made another video that I titled Menopause Gut Health 11 Steps to Gut Regeneration, where I walk through what your gut actually needs to rebuild, from calming the nervous system to feeding the lining. So watch that next so you can start creating the conditions your gut needs to heal itself. And subscribe while you're at it because I share practical tips on managing the stress that keeps that door propped open. So let's make this specific to midlife because menopause changes this whole system and almost nobody connects the dots for you. First, the gut barrier. Estrogen helps keep the lining of your gut tight and sealed. As estrogen starts to fall in perimenopause and menopause, that barrier loosens. Researchers even have a nickname for the midlife version of this: Inflammopause. A looser, leakier gut is exactly the condition the study showed lets bacteria slip through. So the very change so many of us are handed in midlife, the estrogen drop, is the change that can prop this back door open a little wider. That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to tell you where to aim. Second, your vagus nerve is not just a passive pipe, it's a brake. A well-toned vagus runs something called the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway. In plain terms, a healthy vagus tells your immune system to stand down and stop overreacting. And how toned your vagus is can be measured as your heart rate variability, your HRV. Here's the trap though: chronic toxic stress, the kind so many high achieving women carry for decades, drains your vagal tone. Low vagal tone means less of that calming, anti inflammatory brake, and a gut barrier that stays inflamed and increasingly leaky. So, stress doesn't just feel bad, it weakens the very wall that keeps the door shut. Third, everyday inflammation. In the study, the researchers triggered gut inflammation on purpose. In real life, we tend to do it to ourselves slowly with the things that quietly inflame and erode the gut lining over the years. Too much sugar and processed food, too little of the fiber and real nourishment your gut needs, and chronic, unmanaged stress on top of all of that. Put it together, and you can see the whole picture. The estrogen drop loosens the barrier. Chronic stress drains the vagal brake. And everyday inflammation keeps the door propped open. Brain fog, low mood, and that "I just don't feel like myself" feeling are not a character flaw or just your age. They can be signals that the pipe is leaking. So here's the plan to seal the leak and keep the back door shut at the root. First, stop feeding the leak. Pull back on the things that quietly inflame and erode the gut lining, like refined sugar and ultra-processed food. This is the fix the pipe step. In the study, easing the gut inflammation is exactly what reversed the whole thing. Second, rebuild the barrier and feed the right bugs. Pile in diverse plant fiber. The more colors, the better. And add fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi. Your good bacteria turn that fiber into compounds that help seal the gut lining from the inside. And third, and this is the one most women skip, tone the vagus on purpose. Slow exhales that are longer than your inhales. Humming, gentle cold exposure, real rest. This raises your vagal tone, strengthens that anti inflammatory brake, and helps keep the barrier tight. This is not a luxury, it is barrier repair. So I need to be clear and responsible here because this is a dramatic finding and the internet's going to run wild with it. This was a study in mice, not people. It doesn't prove that gut bacteria cause Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or any other human disease, even though the researchers did find bacteria in the brains of mouse models of those conditions. What it shows, though, is a real traceable pathway: the leaky gut, the vagus nerve, the reversal when the inflammation eased. That mechanism is striking and worth acting on because the actions it points to, like eating to calm inflammation, repairing the barrier, toning the vagus, lower your toxic stress, are safe, sane, and good for you no matter what the human research eventually shows. What I don't want you to do is panic or buy the first gut detox pill that uses this study in its ad. A pill that promises to fix your brain while the leaky gut, the unmanaged stress, and the inflammation go untouched is a band aid on a festering wound. We want to know why the door opened and shut it at the source. And if you're dealing with real memory changes, depression, or anxiety, this is a both and, not either or. Please keep working with your trusted healthcare practitioner if you have one. Healing your gut supports your brain. It does not replace your care team. If you want to understand the hidden stressors and toxic triggers that keep your gut leaky, your body inflamed, and your brain foggy, grab a copy of my book, What's Your Kryptonite? It walks you through exactly what's keeping your system stuck. And make sure to subscribe for more practical root cause help with your health. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Did you ever suspect your gut and your brain were so directly connected? Were you told your brain fog or your mood was just hormones? Share your experience below. I read those comments to better understand what you need most. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. I have more resources to help you navigate midlife. Just go to drgala.com/links and watch my next video where I show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife naturally, without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.